Today we're going to show you how to go from this to this. Hey guys, welcome back to Lammon Customs. Today we're going to cover some upholstery work. Something I've wanted to cover on the channel for a while and just haven't had the opportunity. We definitely got a lot of automotive upholstery work coming up that we're going to be doing on some various vehicles, but today we're going to actually do some furniture. So this here is a little stool for a makeup table vanity that my daughter has, and it needs some work. So as you can see, her dog kind of chewed this up pretty good. I thought this would just be a quick recover, but then when I got looking at this, I noticed that the dog had actually chewed the corner of the actual wood underneath off of it. So that's all chewed up there. So what I actually ended up doing, rather than going ahead and redo this one and trying to fix this corner, which sometimes you can do that on some furniture and stuff, you could fix a corner or something really easy. But rather than trying to do that with what it is and stuff, I just went and got a new board. So picked up a board at a big box store. To be able to get something like this at Home Depot, Lowe's. I got this one at Menards. I got the table saw all set up. We're going to take just shy of an inch off the side. We're trying to get this as close to the original as possible. Table saw is the best way to do it. If you don't have a table saw, you can just use a hand saw. That's fine. Some sort of power saw works obviously best. But sometimes you just got to use what you got. But got the table saw. I actually had it here in the garage for another project, so I might as well put to use doing this. So, here we go. That all cut and trimmed down and stuff. I'm going to go ahead and sand down this edge just a little bit. Just take a little bit of the sharpness off. Don't need much, just a little bit. Like I said, just take a little bit of the sharpness off, so when we start stretching our material over here, so I don't want to get a potential spot where it's going to tear or get snagged. Obviously, I just use a little vibrating saw. If you don't got one, that's fine. It doesn't matter what style. So use just a little piece of sandpaper too. That would work the same. Just this sped it up a little bit, and now we're going to show about how to recess for the hinges. One thing I think I should cover here quick before we move on is if you are doing actually recovering, if this would have been good wood, we could have just recovered it. Guess I should explain that process here and I can show you. So basically I strip everything apart. You can get different types of staple removers. They sell them, I would believe they'd sell them at big box stores. If not, you can order them online. They don't have to be as fancy as this. This is like, I don't know, 25, 30 bucks for this one. This is a little bit more professional, a little bit more heavy duty. But wherever one will work, you probably can find one, say at Walmart or something. Hobby Lobby, like I said, I don't know about like Home Depot and Lowe's. They probably have something similar. Yeah, you just go and get in there. And this helps you get the staples out. Like I said, these are nice, so you can kind of dig if they're really embedded. So yeah, so if you're going to recover whatever the piece is, originally you're not building a new one like we have to in this case, you want to take this all apart. So prior with the staples, this is the backing or listing, depends on what you want to call it. I bought all new stuff anyhow because I figured a lot of times you try to take this out, this stuff, it just rips even when you're getting the staples out. So sometimes you have to reuse it. I didn't really want to anyhow. So we're going to do the same thing. You do the same thing on the base down here. You pry out. As you can see, these are definitely dug in a little bit more. You pry out all the staples on this, get your vinyl off, and then what you can do is actually use your vinyl as a pattern if you needed to. Especially if it's a complex shape, you know, start getting into odd shapes and stuff, you definitely use it as a pattern. Now, ours is just a square, pretty basic square, square cut, you know, actually it's a rectangle. But, you know, just overlap it a little bit, so we just need, you know, a little bit of an overlap. And I'll show you how to do that here coming up. One thing that's kind of unique about this little project here we're doing, this upholstery job, is the original here had these hinges, and they are kind of recessed into the actual wood here. They're actually recessed and cut into it. So if you look at it, it looks kind of like an oblong, odd shape. But honestly, if you pull that back, if you can see that there, it's actually just a circle. So you can go and do it with a drill bit, I suppose. You can't really use a spade bit because as far down as you have to drill, the spade, the tip of the spade bit would actually probably come out the top here. So I didn't want to do that. So I actually broke down and bought the correct tool to do that. And it's a concealed hinge jig. It's by Craig Jig. I got a bunch of their stuff. It's not a sponsor or anything. It's just what I use. So we're going to go ahead, get this opened up, get it set up, and get our hinge points drilled into this, then we can finish recovering it. I got our jig all set up. I measured off the original where the hinges were, and they were 7 3/4 on center, so I got that marked out on our board. Got the jig clamped into place, and I adjusted from the edge here coming in how far in the reset needs to be, again based off the original board. So if you're just building one from scratch, you can kind of set up however you want, but I'm trying to match the original as close as possible so everything lines up and it closes and fits just like it should. So got everything ready to go. Let's go ahead and start drilling our hole. Okay, that's one done. Now just got to reset up our jig on our other mark and get the other. I've got both of the hinge holes drilled in. Worked really good. Now it's time to go on to getting the foam. And let's see here. So for the foam, picked up this foam. We have a Max Hardware. That's where I picked up this foam for this project. You know, wherever you can find foam and so you get. Now one thing a lot of people don't know is you can get different firmness ratings of foam. So there's different types of foam. You got soft, medium, hard, extra hard, or extra firm. They have different styles of foam as well. So this is what we're using for this project. This was 1 inch thick. Picked all this up here. Got definitely more than I need, but that's okay. Kind of trim this down. So my plan here is when we go to wrap this with our vinyl, I'll pull this over so that our edges on each side get squared up here just right. So when I pull our vinyl over, what I want is the foam to line up right on this bottom edge on these 3 sides. So basically the front and each side. The back, I want a little overlap, but I don't want it to get to where it's going to start causing issues and binding and stuff with our hinges. So I don't want that as thick on the back side. I want just a little bit so it curls over, but I don't want to get really up above that and risk, because when we start pulling it to get nice and tight, that will kind of pull these down a little bit. So okay, we got our vinyl cut. Everything's ready to start assembling this. So just go over vinyl real quick. Something a lot of people don't know is there's different styles of vinyl. So I just got what's called 2-way stretch or normal vinyl. So you can also get 4-way stretch, and let me explain what that means. So with the vinyl, when you get it, it will stretch one way. So like this way it doesn't really want to stretch. This way has a lot more stretch to it. So you want to kind of plan out when you're covering something which way you want to go, what's going to need to be stretched. So like on this, our big piece here, it's stretchy going this way. It's not so much stretchy this way. So that means on this one we're going to start on our edges, get these pulled over, get both edges done first and get it nice and tight. And then we got the stretch here for the front and back so we can really get that nice roll to make it look good. Now they do make what's called 4-way stretch vinyl. I use that for like say ATV seats, motorcycle seats, things like that, where you got, let's say, interesting shapes, curves, compounds, things like that. So if we got to stretch it multiple ways to get to form around something. 4-way stretch is typically a lot more expensive. And we'll go over the cost of all this and stuff when I get done here. Okay, so let's go ahead and cover this. Kind of talked about the vinyl a little bit. I am going to be using, for this project, I'm just going to be using a pneumatic staple gun. I can't find my other really good one, so we're just using this one. And you don't have to have a pneumatic. You can use just a handheld one. You know, it might take a little bit more. Your hand might cramp up a little bit, so that's what we do there. One other thing I do want to touch on quick before we start is scissors. These are the scissors I use. If you're using just doing a one-time deal, it's no big deal. But if you're cutting stuff all the time, like I was at the restoration shop, these are nice because you can use your whole hand to cut. And when you're cutting out hundreds of pieces a day, you know, you want someone who's going to, you know, not get your thumb all raw. So these are nice. Don't ever use, you know, fabric scissors and stuff on paper. It dulls them. These are for fabric only, so this is fabric, vinyl, that sort of stuff. I do not use these for anything else, not tag board, cardboard, paper, cutting rope, anything else. This is just 100% for that. Ask anybody that does any sort of upholstery or seamstress work, they'll tell you the exact same thing. So get a good pair of scissors. It's well worth the investment. So let's get started. Like I said, our stretch is this way, so we're going to start on the sides. I got this lined up pretty darn close to where I want. And you can do a test just to see. We'll scoot it towards the back just a little more. We're pretty centered side to side. Looks pretty good. Yeah. Okay, so pull it over, get it tight. I like to come in about an inch or so, I'd say. There's our one there. Pull this one up. Big thing with this stuff is when you're doing this, honestly, it's more about looks than it being 100%, you know, 1 inch here or ½ inch there. You want your look when you're pulling your vinyl on the sides or anywhere on it, you gotta use your eyeball and just kind of eye it. I'm looking straight down. I want this to be nice and smooth. I don't want to have it to be bulges. So if I have to pull more or pull less and stuff, I want to try to keep it as even as possible for the looks. All this other stuff will be hidden and trimmed anyhow. So start coming this way a little bit. Okay, not bad, not bad. Looking good. Okay, that side's good. I look at it and stuff. It's nice and smooth. I don't got no bulges. You don't want like the scallop look. Unless you're going for that, you're doing like a pleat job or something, then there's times to do that. But this, I don't want that. So this looks pretty good. It's nice and smooth, even. Our foam is right to the edge, right where I want it. Time to do the other side. Got both edges done here. Now we're going to start working on the stretch part. This is what I always tell guys, you know, if you're in high school, if they offer some sort of sewing class, you know, I think they call it fax nowadays. Do some sewing, things like that. They do it, I think, even in junior high, high school. Take those classes. A lot of guys don't want to do that. tell you what, some of the best top end upholstery guys in the world are guys. You know, people think, oh, you know, they don't want to do that stuff because they think it's, you know, stuff that women do. Nothing wrong with knowing how to sew, guys. I've been able to sew better than you know, previous girlfriends and wives. You know, my grandma taught me to start sewing and stuff. She was a heck of a seamstress. But yeah, I mean, you've got the classes available, take them. You know, you'll learn a lot. So you can see there, here's our edges, looks pretty good. We'll stretch that out a little bit when we do the edges. I'll show you how we do our corners, but so far looking pretty good. But yeah, back in my day they called it home ec. I know they've changed the terminology a little bit, but that's okay. Our foam's just a little bit skewed here on the side, but that's okay. That is why, if you notice, I did not glue it. Sometimes you need to glue stuff down. Something like this, you really don't need to. So same thing. So now we got this all done on the sides. We're going to pull this up. Again, I want my foam, if you can see that, I want it right to the edge right there. So I'm going to pull. We're going to start in the middle again. Again, I'm going by looks more than anything. I want it to look nice and even. So that looks pretty good. Happy with that. Even again. Good. Goes the other way. That's the thing too and stuff. Don't worry about like trying to keep this edge. A lot of people make that mistake. They worry about trying to keep this edge here straight. I don't care about that. We can always trim that. It's going to be covered up anyhow. We want this to be straight. We want this to be nice and smooth. So that's when you're adjusting and stuff. That's when you got to kind of look at what you're doing there a little bit. Try to get a little bit more even. So we'll let out just a little bit right there. So time to do corners. Again, we want to be able to try to pull this over, and as you can see here, we got a lot of material that we got to try to deal with. So what I usually do, a little trick I always showed, is you start cutting towards your corner, and then you're going to leave a tail, if that makes sense. Okay, we're going to kind of cut towards there, and then we're going to leave a tail like that. So we're going to pull this up as tight as we can. We're going to put a staple there, and pull one there. We're going to try to get that smoothed out. And then when we get it good, we're going to pull our corner up and try to get this tucked in. We've got a little bit of foam there. It's kind of going to work on it. Try to tuck up and over. Yeah, like this side here, we need to tuck a little bit more. Get that pulled in. So what you can do when you run into an issue like this, I don't have it set up right this second. We may have to set it up. Is I use a steamer for like doing drapes and dry cleaning and stuff. An old-fashioned one works best. And you can actually steam your vinyl, and it makes it more pliable. And that way it'll kind of stretch a little more. You can kind of cheat it that way. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll get our corners done here. We'll trim them all up. So like I said, we'll cut our scallops out, leave our tail, and get that ready to go. Okay, getting the vacuum put back on here. Cut relief for our hinges. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of pie cut them, because I wanted to actually get kind of pulled in there a little bit. So there's that one. There's this one. There. So the hinge kind of pull in there, and that'll also help hold all that in. So we'll get this attached, but yeah, it's ready. It's a lot smoother, a lot more cushiony. Put a better piece of foam on there, so ready to attach to the rest of the seat. Got that project done. Now, to be completely transparent, one thing that's always annoyed me with automotive shows especially is you see them do a project and they say, oh, you can do this project for $5 or $10 or some ridiculous low amount. Most times it's clickbait. What they don't tell you until you start watching, and seeing the whole show is, yeah, you can do it for $5 or $10 if you got $30,000 worth of equipment. You got, you know, CNC plasma cutting machines, you got milling machines, you got all these sort of presses, you got all the tools that the average guy in his garage does not have or have access to. Sure, it's easy to do stuff for pennies on the dollar. I mean, you look at stamping out, say, a floor pan or a fender for a car. You know, when GM or Dodge or Ford, they do that and stuff, it's costing them literally probably dollars, you know, $5–10 to make a fender. Now, if you were to make one yourself, I mean, hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. The more you can make, the faster you can do it, the more automated it is. Of course, the cheaper it's going to get. But that's one thing that always annoys me. So, to be completely transparent about this project, let you know what it cost me to do this today. We're kind of upside down, but that's okay. It was a learning experience and stuff, and did this for my daughter, so it was more something I wanted to do something nice for her. So it wasn't so much about the money aspect. I wasn't trying to save a lot of money. This little stool you could probably get for, honestly, probably for like $19.99 on Amazon or something. The vinyl that we got, a lot of places you'll have to buy a minimum of a yard. Some places will let you know, get less, but between the vinyl, the backing, and the foam is ridiculously expensive. If you go to like a retail store and buy it, I think it was just shy of $50 for the materials right there. And then the wood was like $8.99, something like that at Menards. The Craig Jag was like, I want to say 35 or 37. It was right in there. So again, another 40-some dollars. So we're just shy of $100 into this project, you know, for a $20 little, you know, stool. But again, it's not about the money on this one and stuff. I want to do something nice and show everybody how you go about a reupholster one of these yourself. Yeah, so that project turned out good. We'll definitely do some more upholstery projects and stuff as it goes on, especially related to automotive. We'll show how to build kick panels, door panels, build armrests, redo seats, fix foam, repair foam, carve foam. Some of that stuff you can do, again, you can do most of the stuff with basic tools. You know, if you got the fancy tools, great, but you don't have to invest in those in order to do this stuff. I got a lot of specialized tools I've collected over the years that makes the job easier and faster, but again, you don't have to go out and buy that stuff in order to do a project like this. You do just a regular hand stapler, some regular scissors, you know, and some materials. Yeah, let us know what you think in the comments. If there's any other projects you'd like us to work on or show how something is done, please let us know. And also be sure to hit like and subscribe. That really does help the channel. See you next time.